Yo guys, what is up? Max on a Borderlands 3 video, and today we're doing a build refresh for Amara. Now, I made a build a very long time ago that was a Jakobs Amara build. It was titled Elemental Longshot. I posted it 3 years ago. It was actually a ton of fun. It focused on Jakobs weapons with Amara, and we're kind of redoing that and like revitalizing it for 2020 as Martial Amara. This build uses Jakobs weapons incredibly well. It synergizes with Amara's ability to ricochet bullets with Jakobs' ability to ricochet to clear rooms really quickly, as well as ties the bind. Plus, it can use some snipers and one-shots bosses with snipers, which is really, really cool. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So we're going to go over our gear, and then we'll get into this skill tree. Now, this is a Jakobs Amara build. The two strongest Jakobs weapons in the game, in my opinion, are the Hellwalker and the Rowan's Call. These are very meta weapons and will destroy on this build, but because this build works so well with these guns, I wanted to show some off-meta ones, and that's kind of what's kind of highlighted in the gameplay. One of my favorite guns to use is the Bird of Prey. The Bird of Prey was introduced in Vault Card 1. It has a chance on hit. You don't even need to crit with this thing to spawn a projectile from above, a bird summon that will hit multiple millions. If you trigger it, will absolutely one-shot most things and does really good for bossing and for mobbing, as well as having 50% or around 50% more damage than most snipers in the game. It is like 50% more damage than the Unseen Threat, way more damage than the Monocle, the Head Explosion. As you can see, the Bird of Prey's damage is just crazy, so I really enjoyed using this. The Clairvoyance is an insane weapon, really, really strong. Comes in Cryo only, which Amara can use really well because we can buff up Cryo as well as turn it into a bunch of different elements. The Becca, if you're lucky enough to have one, shreds on this build. The Garcia is really fun. The Maggie is obviously a classic, super great there. The Robin's Call, the Garcia, whatever you want to use. Any Jakobs weapon. I was messing around with the Bloom, the Unforgiven as well, with its like 300% crit damage. Any Jakobs weapon. For the enchant, or oh my goodness, the Wonderlands. For the anoint, I've been rocking mainly next 2 mags on most of my weapons, next 2 mags in an element. For weapons that, like the Hellwalker, have tons of reload, the kill stack anoint is really good. You can use consecutive hits here as well, and if you want to do bossing, 250 phase cast is really great as well, or next 2 mags. But we're going to be spamming our action skill, so we have 100% upkeep time on the next 2 mags enchant. Anoint, damn it. Next up, we're using a Revolter. This is the Revolter I've had for a while. Nothing too special, but we've got the on action skill start, activate effects, trigger on shield breaker fill. This is going to give us that 200% shock damage and the fire rate increase, which is really nice to have. I've got Hunter Seekers. Any grenade works. You're just going to want to put on something that is a bonus element. Radiation is usually a pretty safe bet. We're using the Phaserker class mod, no surprise here. I wanted to be able to take my time and shoot not moving at a bazillion miles per hour, and so that's why I've used the Phaserker here. You can line up your shots, you get crazy cooldown, you get extra damage. Mine rolled with weapon damage, corrosive resistance, and Jakobs weapon critical. For our artifact, you have 2 choices. The Pearl is good for basically every gun. It can be not as great on slow firing things like a Bird of Prey, but the Pearl is like your safe all around. Use this for like pretty much every gun. If you can get your hands on a Jakobs Company Man, a good one. Mine's not perfect. Mine's got critical damage, accuracy damage. I got area effect damage, action skill cooldown rate, and magazine size on this one. I wish the area effect damage was on the 3rd passive because that makes the AoE bigger. I didn't get that, but Jakobs Company Mans are probably, if you can get a good one, the best artifact, but the Pearl is really good for just about every weapon. It's a Jakobs build, so you might as well use a Jakobs Company Man because I think that's cooler. Now let's talk skill tree. Before we get into the skill tree, one of the most important ways to play this build is revolving around overkill. If you did not know, this Guardian perk, Overkill, allows excess damage from a kill is added to your next shot. This can be up to 5 times your weapon's damage, and you will generate this every shot when you're shooting through ties that bind. So you'll get that overkill. Weapons that are not multi-pellet weapons, weapons that fire a single projectile work the best with this skill because you'll get all of that damage added into your single pellet versus being spread out for multiple pellets. But if you're finding yourself having trouble one-shotting things with a sniper rifle, while the Masher Clairvoyance is really, really good, you can one-shot most things with the Daisy Clairvoyance or just a single pellet Clairvoyance because you can shoot into the ties that bind, generate 5 times overkill, and then shoot and keep chaining that. And one of the ways to get or practice getting good with this build is making sure that you're hitting headshots into ties that bind to keep up your overkill, to keep up 5 times damage on all of your shots. And every shot that you shoot that is a one shot against enemies will generate overkill for your next shot. And Jakobs Amara is really good at upkeeping this, and that's part of the reason why we're able to do so much damage. Is a core way, if you want to one-shot Wotan or if you want to kill a boss, is to make sure you get overkill before your big shot, before your big crit. On the Psycho Reaver, before I actually shot Psycho Reaver with that shot, I got overkill on one of the ads that was flying around, and then I swapped to my sniper and then got the shot with my sniper rifle. So overkill for bossing and for mobbing is super important to understand. All right, now let's talk skill tree. Our skill tree is pretty standard. There's not too much to explain, but the biggest thing that we're grabbing, and this is kind of new, or like technically newer, because it was in one of the last patches that Gearbox did before they stopped supporting Borderlands 3, stopped adding things to it, is they did fix Expedite. This is going to give us 30% cooldown per enemy killed, which stacks when we kill enemies with our action skill. And this counts for enemies killed through ties that bind, which absolutely trumps Restless, and the diminishing returns from specking Restless would give us cooldown that is just, it's not worth it. So you shoot into ties that bind, you're going to get your phase or your ties that bind immediately back. Plus we have so much cooldown from the Phaserker. You will be spamming your ties that bind every 4-5 seconds. 5 seconds is on the longer side of getting this back, which is crazy. You can upkeep it, and obviously when you're shooting through it, you're going to be keeping up Indiscriminate as well, because you have a bigger chance when Indiscriminate is up. With Jakobs weapons, this works incredibly well. Indiscriminate is going to be getting, I think it's mayhem scaling or action skill scaling. It's been a minute, but Indiscriminate hits like a truck, and it works really well with Jakobs weapons, which also have their own ricochets. It just looks really cool. You'll fire into a group of enemies and everything will die. But yeah, this is my purple tree. I expect trust yourself. Reload speed, weapon swap speed is really nice to have when dealing with Jakobs weapons. This heavy rain is more for the projectile speed. There are some Jakobs weapons that can do splash damage, and there are some things in our kit that we're using with splash damage, but mainly coming down here for Expedite. We are over putting points into the blue tree, so we've got more points than 26 basically, just because From Rest is nice to have for fire rate. We want to do harm. We got fast hands. We've got instant reload speed with alacrity. We did not need any points in Restless. Laid Bear, you're going to want to use this against bosses. Make sure you hit them with your action skill before you hit them, and make sure you're double casting your action skill before you shoot at any bosses so that you can double proc Transcend for that 54% critical hit damage. Red tree, pretty self-explanatory. Picking up Indiscriminate here. Infusion, we're using Jakobs weapons. We can add elemental damage to them and boost that elemental damage up, as well as our accuracy. We lifesteal from Jakobs weapons. When the game launched, this wasn't a thing. Now we can lifesteal with Jakobs weapons, which is amazing. And Forceful Expression for the bonus elemental damage. That's kind of it for the skill tree. Put on Jakobs weapons with a Revolter, a Phaserker, a Company Man, next 2 mags on like 90% of your Jakobs weapons. You can use some phase cast ones or 150/90s on your snipers if you really want it. I really just enjoy using the 100% additional damage on my reloads, because we're going to keep that up all the time. Aim for the head, practice chaining overkill between enemies, and you'll be crushing it on this build. I will have the save file in the Discord for y'all to check out if you are wanting to play Amara. I know that a lot of people have been moving on from Borderlands 3 as Wonderlands came out, but I found myself kind of having the itch to play this game again because I have so many fond memories of it, and it's easily my favorite game of all time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the build. I will catch y'all on the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.